everyone, welcome in another episode of the Inside of Things show. Today we have a really special guest. We have Łukasz. Łukasz is with us for the very first time, so maybe we start with a short introduction. Łukasz, can you say a few words about you?
Hi, so my name is Łukasz Strzelecki. I work in TTPSC for last 4 years, a little bit more. Previously I was .NET developer, so we are quite close. Today I'm officially IoT evangelist in TTPSC. So it's usually people smile when they hear that I'm Łukasz and I'm evangelist, but I got used to it. My main role on projects is being solution architect. So I'm responsible on delivering projects from the technical side, but with having contact with the customer, really close contact. So I start project sometimes even on the very early stages, on pre-sales phase, and sometimes I run the project to the very end. So I'm not only the guy who kind of designs all the technical details. I also work close with the customer to prepare all the requirements and kind of sometimes organize even the project. Yeah. Sometimes I even help the project manager to do that.
Yeah, this is what I saw. You also running the projects, yeah?
Yeah, sometimes I have to do some of the PM work as well. Sometimes it's due to the fact that I simply need to help the project manager. Yeah. You know how it is. There are some project managers, maybe they need some help. Sometimes it's simply because that's easier. Mm-hmm. Project manager does not know the technical stuff usually. Yes. Sometimes he even doesn't know ThingWorks that well or at all. So it's much easier for me to talk with the customer and, for example, make a list of tasks and delegate those tasks to the team than talking with the PM who talks to the customer and then it goes back to the project manager. It speeds things up a lot if I also do some of the organizational job on the project.
Yeah, exactly, and this is very significant what you said, because I also believe that we are not working as individuals, we are working as a team. If someone needs your help, you help him. If this is a PM, you helping a PM, you talk to him about the technicalities, let's say. If it's a developer, if you're working as an architect, no problem, you can write a line of code. Of course, he will put the quality there because he is the developer, but at the end of the day, we are working as a team and we have the same goals. Yeah, this is very important, I believe, to remember. And yes, I feel your pain about being the evangelist because we are sharing the same position and it's funny and the people's reaction are totally, different. So someone understand
quite new concept in Poland.
Yes.
Like, in Western companies, it's normal thing to have an evangelist, like in Microsoft. But in Polish companies, I think it's the first company I met that have people who are called evangelists who not only work on projects to deliver all the technicalities, but work on things that on the first glance may not seem as important. And like building a knowledge base, like where is the money in this? And turns out that maybe not directly, but it's very important to do such things outside of projects, because this is where the company actually evolves and improves.
Exactly. And in Poland, this is a totally new position. But in my previous company, it was Western company, to be honest. Yeah, but I was working as an evangelist, and I even saw the advertisement. They hiring the evangelist. This is like, you know, the position being the evangelist, and yes, a lot of companies now hiring not only technology evangelists like we are, but also the product evangelists to spread the knowledge inside and outside the organizations. Yeah, this became very common. But today, I really not wanted to talk about the evangelist position, but maybe in the future, why not? Depends on our friends there. But today I wanted to talk about the projects. And to being a little bit more specific, I wanted to talk about the very early stages of the projects. And I wanted to talk with you because you are involved and you being involved in a lot of projects on the different positions. Yes, so I wanted to talk from to ask from your perspective, how does it looks like? Let's imagine the situation that we agreed with the client that, okay, we go with this project. So what happens? What are the really first steps after this, agreement?
So, assuming that there's already some agreement, there is usually also some statement of work that is signed. It describes, at least on a high level, what needs to be delivered. So usually the technology is already selected. So for example, we go with ThinkWorks platform or with Azure platform. We have some at least high level functional requirements. Depending on customer, we may have actually a complete functional spec. So it's different, it varies between customers. So then I step in, and my first job is to make sure that everything is in place, and if not, to build the foundation to start the implementation, the development, actual development work. So I need to review all the requirements because maybe, and usually that's the case, there is something that we need to clarify with the customer. And it takes some time at the beginning. I need to prepare some technical foundations, some architecture, some data model sketches, so that the development team has something to work with. So that they don't come into the project and wonder, okay, so where do we start? I already need to prepare this starting point. So my involvement into the project is very big at the beginning because this is my main role to build the foundation, and this is, in my opinion, this is the most important moment of the project, because if something goes wrong later, in the middle of the project or at the end of the project, it's not unusual that it actually started during the first few weeks of the project. For example, this code repository was not prepared, or the deployment process was not defined, or some requirements were incorrectly defined. A lot of future problems originate from this phase. So, in my opinion, this is like a critical phase.
Okay. Yeah, and you said something very interesting, that sometimes we have the functionalities described in really high level. So my understanding is that on this very beginning of the project, the stage that you mentioned, that you are preparing the design, selecting the technology and so on, should everything be defined on this stage, or there is still a room for some agility, let's say, in the future, that we can change something if we see an example that we go in the wrong direction?
It depends a lot on the size of the project, because if the project is really small and short, like if my last project was scheduled for 7 weeks, and not even full-time for developers. So in case of those projects, it's not a problem and it doesn't bring any risk to define most of the details at the beginning. But surely, we try to work agile. So on bigger projects, we only define those foundations at the beginning, some high-level process, and work on the details, for example, at the beginning of each sprint. Also, a bit depends on the customer because, for example, in my last project, customer had everything thought through. Like I didn't even have a lot of a lot of room to change things because they already had everything documented. They wanted it in particular way. Even for example, the naming convention, I had to take what the customer wanted. While usually this is my job to propose and to document the naming convention. So in that case, actually everything was already defined and prepared. But on bigger projects and on projects where the customer maybe does not exactly know what they want, we work on the details during the implementation.
Okay, yeah, because this is what I wanted to ask. If it always looks like this, that customer exactly knows, because in my let's say project that I was involved in, I sometimes found my customer really not decided or even not aware what he needs. And I like to say this sentence from one of my customer. He said something like, "Paweł, give me artificial intelligence." And I was like, "For what?" No, everyone have it. We also want to have artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Yes. And
If else.
Exactly. This is like quasi-modern artificial intelligence. But in such scenarios, because at the end of the day, we're trying to make money. Okay, so we try to take as many projects as we can, deliver in the organization.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that we also have customers like this that I have some money because someone invests. Okay, there's European Union or something like that. We have some money for growth. We want to do something. We heard that digitalization is catchy thing.
Yeah.
So do the digitalization for us. Yeah? Do you have something like that as well?
Yeah, this happens, and it's not really good approach. What you said, that the example you gave, that customer has some money, he needs to demonstrate that he's innovative, but he doesn't know why actually he's doing that. This is a problem not only for us but for the customer mostly, because projects should be done and the goal of the project should always be to resolve some issues. For example, there are some efficiency problems in the factory, or we want to speed up the growth. Then we know where the pain is, and we develop something that is going to relieve this pain. If the problem is that we have too much money to spend, then okay, we can, but this is really, there is no value in it.
Do you try to be a consultant in such situation? Okay.
Yeah, and I also have to say that sometimes it's not only those situations where the customer simply has money to spend. A lot of times customer knows what he needs to do, but he doesn't know how. I had one project where the customer had some system for internal use to manage design changes on the machines that he produces. They had to migrate this system, but when we came on site, we sit with them on the table and we asked them, okay, so where's the process that we need to develop? How do you work day to day? What your actions look like? How your business works, simply. And they didn't know. We spent first day on trying to figure out anything from what they say. And they had like 8 roles in the team, in the organization. And every person, every representative of those roles was telling something else. So we basically wasted 2 days of 3-day workshop. Last 3rd day, we decided that, okay, enough of that. If we keep doing it this way, we will leave this place without any plan, any action items, without knowing what to do. So we started making decisions ourselves, and we said, okay, you cannot give us the process. We will give you a system that allows you for as much freedom of movement as possible. So we will give you a list of design changes. You will be able to do something with them the way you want, and every role will be able to do their job as they want to. Of course, later it turned out that some of the things that we implemented are not exactly as they should be, but they realized that afterwards. So sometimes we need to take this first step, so the customer needs some guidance from us, and while they start using this product, testing it, then they realize what to improve. And that's the power of IoT platforms, that and that's the agility that you mentioned, that sometimes we actually shouldn't decide everything at the very beginning, because with this agility and the rapid development process, you can start small, go live with the product and adjust, because you only know if the product works for you when you start using it.
Yeah, that's true. But isn't it scary for a customer? Because especially in the IoT, to provide this minimum value, you need to develop a lot. And then you can add these additional layers, but this foundation needs to be there already. So even for the very small functionality, you need to provide some, bigger stuff. Isn't it a little bit scary for the customer?
It is, for sure, and it doesn't always succeed. It's obvious that in some cases we need to rework a lot of stuff later, because it turns out that this approach didn't work at all. It obviously happens, because that's the life. You cannot always be 100% perfect. But thanks to the IoT platforms that we use, it's not a really bad thing. And I actually read something really interesting some time ago, that if you work in this agile way when you can adjust and adapt to the situation, it's actually way better to fail during the project, like at some early stages or even in the middle, and adjust, then deliver the whole project on budget, on time, after a year of development, and find out, hey, this completely doesn't work.
Exactly.
It's better if you realize that after 1 or 2 months of work and you only waste a part of that. So this is, in my opinion, this is the biggest power of IoT platforms.
Exactly. Yeah, it's fail fast paradigm.
Exactly.
That's true. Okay, but what was your toughest project and what was the easiest one?
For me, the most difficult projects are the ones that were prepared in not exactly the right way they should be. Projects that were prepared by someone else, and I'm not talking about someone else in the company, but some projects that we inherit from some other vendors. Projects that were sold by some other companies or our partners' pre-sales team. There are situations, and there is one situation that I will never forget. I had a project which started, the development team was already in place, they are waiting for tasks, and we are looking for documentation, because the team that prepared and sold the project and discussed the requirements with the customer was missing, kind of. Like this was our partner, and we spent like 2 weeks looking for the right people, looking for the documentation, and figuring out what to do. Of course, later we found all this stuff and we started development. But yeah, for me, these are the situations that are the most annoying, actually, because you cannot do anything in such situations.
Waste of time. Yeah.
Exactly. Normally, I can start doing my job and do all those preparations myself, and in such situations, my hands are tied. I cannot do anything.
And the easiest one?
The easiest one, it's hard to define the easiest project, because from one side, a very easy project may be a project in which you have already everything established. Like with the project I mentioned before, the customer decided on every detail, every aspect of functionality, even naming convention. This may seem like a very easy project, because actually I don't have anything to do here. Like everything is decided. I just need to coordinate the work between developers and help the developers. But from other side, like I like to have some room for experiments. I really like to introduce some new technologies, new solutions to the project. So in such cases, it limits me. And while the project is quite easy to conduct, it's not so satisfying. The most satisfying projects are, for me, the ones that I have some challenges to resolve. And of course, these are not the challenges in finding documentation, but like some challenges, like we have some problem to resolve. We need to find the technology that can do this.
Yeah, exactly. This is a very interesting angle, because someone may say that easy money is the finest one, but to be honest, from my perspective, it looks the same. The projects where you find some challenges and it allows you to develop yourself, getting know something new, or simply check. You have the possibility to check. This will work, maybe.
If something's too easy, it's not satisfying at all.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, and this is a very important thing to remember, I believe. And the last question.
Yeah.
What is the most important lesson learned you have in your career?
So I've been working as solution architect for like 2 years or so. The most important lesson I had is what actually solution architect should do. Because many people think, and I thought at the beginning that, well, solution architect is like the technical boss on the project. Like you lead, you give some orders to the development team. If they want to do something, they need to ask you. And this is a dead end. You cannot reliably work on a project with this approach. And much better approach is when you are not like a president of the team, but you are like a guide, more like a person who keeps consistency of the implementation, helps the team to make decisions, because it's not the architect who needs to make a good decision, it's the team who needs to make decisions. And the job of the architect is to help the team go the right way, because architect is like just single person, is just a man, he makes mistakes.
Yes.
And if you look closer, it turns out that the developers know the code way better than you. And if you really want to know how to do something, you should ask the developers. And sometimes developers can also let you know that something's going wrong with the project way earlier than you can. But for that, you need really good communication. And the communication is one of the most important things to do a good project.
I 100% agree. This was really good one. Yeah, but some time ago, I even talked about introducing a new roles in the organization, like war chief or field marshal. Yeah, so this will be the guy in charge. But as you are saying, architect is someone totally different.
Yeah.
Lukasz, thank you. It was really cool to talk with you, to have you here, and I hope we will see each other in the future.
It was a pleasure for me as well. Thank you.